Facebook is claiming we no longer use LOL. My grandma's going to be real disappointed now that she's on Facebook.
Yeah, we just laugh like we used to. It's one of those things where Facebook has done a study on a certain percentage of its users to see how we are using or expressing, I should say, laughter in our comments. And more people are using strings of haha together, and they're using little emoji icons. And only 1.9% of the users in the study were using LOL. And I don't know about you, I'm still LOLing. I mean, it depends on the situation. But I guess it's just because, I grew up with AOL Instant Messenger and I don't want to let it go. I'm not ROFLing. But I am LOLing. And also it's skewed by age and where you live. East Coast tends to use more emoji and some LOL, but the West Coast uses more ha-has and hee-hees. And guys are more hee-hee and girls are more ha-ha and emoji. It's just
guys are doing hee-hee?
Well, wow. They tend to hee-hee more.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the joke.
My gosh. Yeah, the emoji makes sense, but come on, hee-heeing? Bridget Carey is the CNET senior editor, host of the CNET Update, CNET.com. Google and Alphabet, what is going on here?
Well, when this was announced the other day, I think all the tech press just had their jaws drop and go, what? Google isn't exactly Google anymore. The co-founders of Google have started this company that's called Alphabet, and that is now the main holding company that is overseeing a piece of Google. So to kind of lay out the whole alphabet soup for you, if I will. Alphabet is just the holding company, but what they did is because Google's grown so big, it restructured itself. So Google is now just core Google things like YouTube, Android, search, maps, the things you and I use every day. And those extra far out projects you always hear Google working on, like the self-driving cars, the robots, the drones, the smart contact lenses, they're all going to be different parts under that Alphabet umbrella. It's really splitting it up. So for you and me, it doesn't change anything. It's just changing how the company is labeled for investors. And they probably won't refer to everything as being a Google product. They'll refer to it maybe as an Alphabet product, but it's a very strange name. And, if you're looking to find out more about Alphabet, just know that alphabet.com was already taken. BMW actually owns that URL. Alphabet's URL is abc.xyz.
What?
I told you, everyone's going, what? It's just so strange.
Google's smarter than this, aren't they?
You got to say, well, if they were so big and wanted to do better to investors, couldn't they just lay it out better in their earnings reports? And yes, that would be the easy thing to do. But I think they want to become something bigger than themselves, like a Berkshire Hathaway. We want to be this giant holding company for many concepts because Google buys a lot of things. I mean, Google owns Boston Dynamics that makes robots. Google owns Nest, which makes smart home products. It's getting a little bit out of hand to refer to everything as Google. And they just kind of maybe want consumers to think of Google as, the web stuff and the phones and everything else can be maybe separate. And it helps them lay it out. So when they say, hey, this crazy project for self-driving cars, it needs to, kind of sustain itself and not just, there's more accountability is what I'm getting at. And it gives these tech heads better titles. Like now the guy who was in charge of Google before had a senior vice president title. Now he's CEO of Google. It sounds a little better and retain better talent that way.
Who knew that the movie, the Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson vehicle, The Internship, would already be dated in just a few short years? Who knew? We very quickly, Samsung announcing a new product tomorrow, I guess a phone tomorrow. In about 30 seconds, what's that about?
All right, large phone, likely the Galaxy Note 5, maybe even another big phone. The reason it's interesting is that because Samsung usually doesn't announce phones this early, but they're trying to get a head start on Apple because Apple's likely to announce its next larger iPhones on September 9th. So now everyone's making larger products and Samsung makes its larger phones. It wants to do it before Apple does. You're not going to be able to buy it tomorrow, but they're going to talk about it tomorrow.
I got you. All right. We have much to get to here. We have to turn Bridget loose now, but it's always great to speak to you because it reminds me that it's all downhill from here when we speak to you midweek.
Aw.
All right, Bridget. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks. Take care.